Welcome to the State of the Biz. Today we're going to talk about the top 4 reasons residents do not renew their leases. My name is Richie Scola. I am the co-founder and COO of HomeSource. I'm here with Brian Zacharias, who is the VP of Operations. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Together we operate over 4,000 homes in over 16 markets across the country. Number one, the first thing that jumps out at you is probably, if I had to guess, rental increases, right? In the environment we're in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, number one reason is always going to be the pocketbook, right? Like, that's the biggest thing that we always see over the last, 10 plus years I've been in the industry. It's, it's a hot button thing for residents and the owners, so everybody wants the opposite. And that's a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
So
budgets,
and you're looking at the market as it changes. It's gone kind of up and down, and now we're to the point where everything's getting more expensive. So it's tougher for both sides to really absorb really any type of financial impact.
So would you say from the ownership standpoint, right? You've got the cost of carrying and managing, let's say, the heavy increases in property insurance. HOAs increasing, property taxes increasing, all those things put pressure on property owners to perhaps increase their rent.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's, the one thing you don't think about, and you see all this stuff in the news about, these big landlords, things like that, is that they're paying a lot of money to manage this home. If you think about it as a homeowner, that's tough. That's why people have different programs and insurance programs and warranty programs to help them handle the maintenance on these homes. Well, as an owner, you're doing it out of pocket, right?
Sure.
And there's a lot of things as homes age and people live in them, things like that. Depending on where it is, there's considerations with climate that ultimately deteriorate the property. So yeah, the taxes never go away; they just continue to increase. That's the biggest one, and
right.
People don't think about that. So to be fair to landlords, that they've got to try to make up for all of these expenses
Rising
that continue
costs.
To rise over and over. Even without inflation, they every year they own the home, they have to spend more and more money on them. So, and to give a good quality product, they've got to spend the money, right? And that's what we try to do, and most landlords try to do. So that's where you see the increases. That's why there's increases.
So historically, if we turn back the clock, right, go back to 2019, pre-COVID,
less gray hairs.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What would we typically see? We'll speak to the single family space.
Sure.
Multifamily may be similar, but what was what did we typically see, depending on where you are in the country and what city, for percentage of increase, when renewing residents?
Yeah, the industry standard has been around 3.5% to 5%. That's your normal annual increase, depending on a couple different variables. There's a lot of different things that factor into that. The current market values, the where the home is, the MSA it's in, things like that. The age of the home comes into play too. There's an algorithm behind everything, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, 3.5% to 5% is the standard that you would see.
Yeah, and then give or take the last 3 years since COVID, it's been really the single family, especially the increases have been in some places double digits, depending on, at least the headlines speak to that.
Yep.
And I think that's coming back down to the normal historical 3.5 to 5%, at least that we see in the portfolio of the little over 4,000 homes that we manage.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at it, everything, the rental game kind of rides the coattail of the home purchasing game, right? So costs and prices have gone up there to all-time highs, and so with that, the rents have gone up as well. So everybody's kind of chasing that, right? And you're trying to stay in line but stay reasonable, and as one goes up, another goes up, and it continues to kind of just increase. And I think we've gotten to the point where we've hit the ceiling, and things have come back down a little bit more to reality, and people are needing to rent homes, and they need to be able to afford the rentals, and so we're seeing a more in the 5%. We're back to that same level we were pre-COVID of 3.5 to 5%,
which is a healthy,
which
sustainable.
is 100%. And there's been a lot of positive feedback from both sides. I think both the owners and the renters to that, and I think we're in a pretty good position now, as a space, as an industry. to where you're seeing that level set a little bit.
So in our portfolio, we always survey residents that give us a notice to vacate. And rent increases tend to be one of the biggest things. And then I'd say second to that, the number two thing would be maintenance and repairs. Could you speak to those types of issues that could potentially be a problem for anybody, whether you're managing one home, 100,000 homes, or like us, a little over 4,000 homes?
Yeah, that's 100%. Number one, we see all the time when they come in, we get the notification, it's too expensive. And, the next one is, they've had issues or, in their opinion, have had multiple issues with maintenance and, the home's not to their expectations. And that's one that, most companies deal with because, it's not a home that they own. But we do want to give them, all the industry, players want to give them a home that ultimately is theirs, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's not, right? So the expectations are sometimes differing. So that's most of it. Most companies that I know of, and I know ours specifically, we do the best we can within reason to take care of the resident. Right?
And that would be major mechanicals,
absolutely.
right?
HVAC systems, the heat of the summer, things like that. And some people are new to renting a home. They've been in an apartment or some other setting. They just left their parents. I mean, there's a lot of this is new to a lot of renters. So I think a lot of them, and we see them come back. I've seen this in the 10 years is they'll have these issues or perceived issues, and then they'll go somewhere else, and then it's okay. The same issues apply everywhere. The grass is not always greener. So some are legit. We have enough homes, or any portfolio. If you have enough homes, you're going to have that one or two homes, that they're just a pain. Nothing can go right, no matter how much you try. And
I think on the move-in day, the initial setting the expectation of what's in the lease is important. I know we focus on it with our folks during the move-in process to really outline in the lease what is the resident's responsibility from a maintenance standpoint and what is, owner's responsibility. So sometimes that's where you get a lot of that noise too.
And 100%. And that's, to your point, that's one of our major focuses is to prevent that from being the reason people move out. And we've seen good success with that. So yeah, having an in-person, even if it's virtual, but going through the important pieces, because, leases these days out of necessity have become 30, 40 pages. And I know I don't read most things that I sign, which I probably should, but they're not reading that fine print of this is your obligation, this is our obligation. So we make it a point to walk them through the home because they're not going to be brand new. These are used homes, just like if you purchased or rented a used car.
Right.
It's not going to be brand new. Yep. So we have to set that expectation as the property manager on the front end so that isn't a reason that they move out. They know that it's not brand new this, brand new that. But we give them a good, clean, functional home that we would live in, right? That we would be proud to live in. So, we're seeing personally, and I think most other companies, you see them doing a better job at giving them, the better product, and the expectation is set on the front end, because that's what we didn't do that very good the last 10 years, to be honest with you. No matter where I was, you don't think about it, right? You're just like, okay, let's get them in the home, let's move on to the next, rinse and repeat. Now let's make sure we are, good to our residents, and the residents will be good to us.
Right.
So.
And the name of the game in any rental, whether it's multifamily or single family or commercial, right, is tenancy. Tenancy duration, right? So having a good quality resident experience is a focus, and if you take care of the resident, barring anything else, they'll want to stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a longer tenancy, hopefully.
Yep.
That's I'd say as far as the number 3 thing that we see, it would be a change in personal circumstances. So what might be one or two of those things that you see that we have on our survey? What do you see typically there from the change of personal circumstance?
Yeah, the survey says. But with you saying that, like, honestly, once you started to mention that piece, and I forgot about it when you mentioned the rent increase, I actually think that it's a close tie for first with personal circumstances, I would say the biggest personal circumstance, at least up until recently, with where the home buying market was purchasing a home or having a home built. So that's usually the biggest one, and then there's no saving them from an owner's perspective to try to get them to stay. It's not any reason other than they're moving on in their lives, and that's okay too. But that used to be the big one. We're not seeing that as much anymore, obviously with the interest rates and all that stuff. Yeah. But the other personal reasons can be anywhere from military moves or job relocations. We're also seeing a lot of people in it, and I think COVID kind of started this trend, but a lot of work from home businesses, the brick and mortars are kind of going away. Mm-hmm. So people have the ability to move wherever they want, and work wherever they want. So, the nice thing for us is I think we're seeing some of them. We're in the tertiary markets, Oklahoma, Arkansas, not your typical markets where the bigger companies are that do the rental homes. I think they're more attractive because they are more affordable. So it's actually a good problem for us, but I think a lot of the industry standard, you're seeing a lot of people move, to get a, maybe away from a city, lower cost of living, because it doesn't matter where they live anymore.
Right. And then saved probably another one that we, as a property management company, we see residents that we inherit if we buy a portfolio that maybe was previously stabilized. We hear a lot of noise when we go to hit them for an email if we're contacting them about a renewal. Mm-hmm. We see the poor landlord or property management complaint. Yeah. And then we, as a company, try to mitigate that, introducing, us as the new property manager and having good communication and being resident focused. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, no matter how you sugarcoat it, we're a business. We're looking, everybody wants to make money. But where that comes in is I think that some, property management companies, it's easy to fall into the trap of you start looking too hard at the bottom line and numbers and this, that, the other thing, that you lose the focus on who's actually making those numbers work, right? Like you're pushing so hard for numbers, you lose sight that there's actual families that are making those numbers work for you. So I think that's what we're seeing. It's unintentional consequences of really trying to drive a business financially instead of letting the financials drive themselves by taking care of the residents. And that's what we're trying to kind of focus on is, it's even, look at things like industry standard. If you look at a lot of literature, it's going to say tenant. But tenant is very degrading. It's more of a commercial type rental space. So we call our residents, and it's more intimate because it is a lot of things happen in that home, like unfortunately death, birth, marriages, birthdays, good things, bad things, Christmas. So, it's their home, their lives are happening, and we need to be sensitive to that to try to be there when they need us. But ultimately stay out of their way. Like we want to show them, set the expectation to the point of a few bullet points ago, but set the expectation and then say, we've given you this home. We want you to enjoy it. They're going to pay their rent if we move out of their way. But hey, something happens, we're here.
Your home.
Make it your home, but we're here for you. So we communicate through different channels that, some people prefer, email or text. They can opt into different things, and technology for everybody. Everybody's got different portals and things like that, but we're trying to be more interactive with residents. We're trying to give them the ability to leverage our relationships to benefit them. Can we help them with, certain things in their lives, certain milestones, give them discounts at local restaurants, whatever it is. And I think that's where the win is, to show that we actually care about we're in North Carolina, but we manage homes in 16 other markets. How do we get intimately involved with them, to the level of we're in Oklahoma City. We may be sitting in Charlotte, but we're here with you. We're next to you,
and we're your neighbor. We have our team members,
correct?
A local team that can be that face to face if necessary.
If we need to get somebody out there to represent HomeSource, we'll do that. Yeah. We want to do that, but
like I said, like you said, I don't think people typically wake up saying, I want to talk to my property manager today. It's really it normally comes into, hey, I've got a problem, and they want to be heard.
Yes, absolutely.
And being responsive to whatever those needs are, and that's usually the best
Yeah.
approach, is to your point, to stay out of their way unless we're needed, right?
Correct. Yeah, and being there. So we've got multiple channels, and like I know I love to text and communicate via virtual agent. So I do that in everything. Some people like to. I want to talk to a person.
Right.
We provide all those options.
Yeah.
Some want to do an email. That's fine too. So, and we're positioned to be responsive. Even after hours, within 12 business hours, you're going to get a response from us, even if you message us at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So and that'll we want to get better at that too. But that's something that we strive for, that we're super focused on, because at the end of the day, if you take care of the residents, the numbers take care of themselves.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So awesome. Well, that wraps it up for today, folks. Brian, I appreciate you coming
Absolutely.
on. I pulled you away from your day.
Yeah,
but
you have to bring me back. We need to get more content. Let's talk.
But
talk
speaking
about
of
it.
which, if you got some value out of this content, please hit the subscribe button. We'd love it if you can leave a comment below, good or bad. If there's something that you would love for us to talk about here on the show, just leave a comment, and we look forward to next time.
Awesome.
Thank you.